I don't think I've ever done a real love song before. Mine always had a sort of reservation or a twist. I tried to write one that wasn't corny, that didn't sound stupid or lame the way many do. I think I succeeded. I was pretty happy with that. David Byrne, in an interview with himself on a special feature for the DVD release of the live concert film Stop Making Sense. Byrne was talking about the second single released from Talking Heads' 1983 album, Speaking in Tongues. The song wasn't initially a hit, only reaching number 62 on the Billboard Hot 100, but its legacy would grow over the years, thanks in part to favorable reviews from critics, along with live covers by bands like Arcade Fire, MGMT, and the Lumineers. A 2011 drama film starring Shawn took its name from this song and featured David Byrne performing the full song after someone erroneously attributes the piece to Arcade Fire. This love song stayed true to Talking Heads' experimental nature by having the band members switch instruments. Bassist Tina Weymouth played guitar, guitarist Jerry Harrison played a Prophet synthesizer, and Byrne played both guitar and a separate Prophet synthesizer. This switcheroo, along with the basic ostinato pattern played on the guitar and mirrored by the bass, were both moves the band believed to be associated with naive, inexperienced musicians. That's right. It's the month of love, and we're talking Talking Heads. This must be the place, Naive Melody, this week on Lover Me. That's right, it's Lover Me, the only podcast that's talking about love songs all month long and their many cover versions and comparing them against one another to find out which one is the place. I'm your host, as always, Jake Cressy, joined by my weak-hearted co-host.
Hey, Jake. Hey, it's Alex. It's Alex Mildenberger here. How's it going?
Oh, you're like the opposite of crank. You have to keep your heart rate down low.
Just chilling here in Calgary.
Is it cold there? I heard it's
No,
pretty
we're like 0. The sun's out.
You,
It's nice.
Out here in Vancouver, it's like +8. We had a rainbow like 3 days ago.
We also had a rainbow, but I think it was a different kind of rainbow. Like, it didn't rain. It was just something was refracting light.
Okay, it was for sure from rain here, but then it was sunshiny, and then here we are.
Yeah.
So, Alex, you're doing well? Your heart's okay?
My heart's fine. Other parts of me are not, but that's par for the course.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
How's your heart doing? Is it
I think it's
aching?
I think it's all right.
Yeah.
No aches to speak of. It's just doing regular heart stuff, just pumping blood and shit.
Pumping blood? Yeah. Well, I mean, if I was a basketball fan, I'm sure I'd be
holy shit.
Up and ends, whatever. Because we just heard, I think today I saw the announcement. Kobe Bryant has passed away
and his daughter.
Yeah, in a helicopter
crash. Private helicopter.
That's wild. Anyway, so that's unexpected, but also not music related. So
no,
that's not what we're here for.
We are always about current events. So that said, we're talking about Talking Heads. This must be the place. Yeah, 2 weeks later, people are gonna be like, "Why are you guys talking about this?" This is at least we won't come off as insensitive in any way, because they'll be like, it's 2 weeks later, or we've moved on to whoever's died next. I'm gonna put my money down on. Shit. Okay, we've lost a sports player. We lost a musician in January. So it's got to be an actor next. It's going to be Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh, shit.
He's young. It's got to be somebody not quite as young as him. But still, it's going to be Ricky Gervais.
Oh, no.
How fucking wild would that be?
All right. Yeah, that's quite a job. We haven't lost a Beatle in a while. I think that's going to happen soon.
Oh, that could happen soon.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Ringo. He's going to live forever.
No, he's going to live forever. So, sorry, Paul. Oh, that's sad.
That is sad.
And we just we'd have to do another Beatles song. We just did a Beatles song.
Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe it'll line up, and maybe we should just do a Beatles love song next week, just to cover our bases,
just to preempt it. Like, wow, our episode came out the day of as a memorial. Amazing.
That might be the heat we need. People will be like, did these two independent podcasters from Canada murder Paul McCartney?
So every single episode will just be a memorial for another living artist. And then eventually, maybe we'll get one.
Yeah, we might just time it right.
Okay. Yep. That's gonna be it.
All right. Alex, we're talking heads.
We
You're
are
the
talking
talking heads
Talking
guy.
Heads.
Tell me everything you know about them.
About Talking Heads?
Yeah.
They're like a new wave type band. Started out in the late '70s. 4 members. David Byrne's a weirdo. He was on what's it? The Sack Lunch Bunch recently, which is pretty
Yeah.
cool. Little comedy thing on Netflix. What else do I know about the band? They, as I know we talked about it before, they have this sort of funk influence, but it's
Mm-hmm.
very like weird and mechanical the way they do it sometimes. But maybe that's just because of how David Byrne acts, because he kind of acts weird and mechanical a lot of the times.
Yeah.
Um,
Par-
and yeah, so they got this like weird style that's like kind of funky, but also kind of like stiff and rock-ish, and it's like almost danceable a lot of the time, but like sometimes yeah. They're an interesting band of like kind of contradictions in some places, and yeah, it's an odd group. I was also
yeah, we
listening
talk.
to Stop Making Sense, and Tom Tom Club plays on there, which is kind of an offshoot of Talking Heads, and it's like it's weird because they're like
Mm.
rapping and stuff, but it's like old school and also yeah.
Right. It's like when like Frank Zappa also raps on an album, and it's like it's not really rap in the way we know it, but just kind of like talking.
Like kind of like rhythmic, yeah,
It's
and
more
like
like beat poetry.
yeah, except maybe you rhyme more. I don't know. I guess you rhyme in beat
hmm
poetry, but I don't know if you have to. I don't know
I
beat
don't know.
poetry well enough.
Beat poetry is more about spelling, I think. You always and repeating words and stuff. It's
Yeah,
about like turning the words themselves into like like noise almost.
time to brush up on my Kerouac.
Oh yeah, buddy. I was
All
thinking about
right.
Jack Kerouac the other day. Nah, because in my head I was like, man, I just need to fucking get away to California, and I'm like, no, it didn't work in the '50s. It's probably not gonna work now.
No, at least like the destination is slightly different, but I don't know if it's much better.
God, what
L.A.
am I gonna
versus
do?
San Francisco.
Work on an almond farm illegally?
Good luck with that. Yeah. So I guess the other thing about this song you mentioned before, it uses the Prophet 5 synthesizer for a lot of the sounds. There's I think 3 or 4 synth sounds, like 3 main ones.
Yes, there's like three
Um,
main ones because it was so it's David Byrne, it's the guitarist Jerry Harrison, and also the session musician Wally Badarou.
and uh, I there's a video on YouTube of like I think it's I don't know who it is. It's someone I think who sells synthesizers, and they're like, we're recreating the sounds. They were created on a Prophet 5. We have a Prophet 6. Like it's the same thing basically, but it's newer.
Right.
And so yeah, it sounded pretty good. And if I were to buy a polysynth, which I want to one day, um, it would probably be something like that personally. So
Yeah, I mean it's hard to argue with just based on this song alone. It's got some fucking good noises.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is a love song by Talking Heads, and it's sort of bizarre in that it's quote like straightforward. It's just a straightforward love song without any reservations or twists. But in true like David Byrne weird fashion, it's he calls it a love song made up almost completely of non sequiturs, phrases that may have a strong emotional resonance but don't have any narrative qualities. It's a real honest kind of love song.
Yeah, it doesn't really tell a story. It's just a series of things that are like, this kind of sounds vaguely romantic. And when you put it all together, it kind of creates this picture of a relationship without talking about things that happen necessarily.
And you
It's,
get these sort of like it's like almost like a collection of images, and I feel like because I Greta was listening to it last night, and she was like just listening to the music and stuff. She was like, "Oh yeah, it makes me think of like a real backyard song, like just hanging out at a cookout kind of thing."
yeah,
And
sorry.
for me, not necessarily that image, but it does give me some kind of nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, I would say to me the feeling is very like cozy. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's these two people, and he's talks about like coming home to this relationship a
Yeah.
lot, like where you the chaos of the outside world is there, but you come to this place, and now you're together, and that kind of protects you, and you're on the same team or whatever.
Yeah, you're on the same team. I would say it's
Yeah.
both the chaos of the outside world and also with the inside world, what's in your head.
Right.
Should we jump into the lyrics?
Yeah. Yeah, we should talk
Yeah.
about the lyrics.
So
Um
yeah, it's a minute and 5 seconds of instrumentals before we even get to the first verse, and it opens with the word home, and it's that word is like focused on for a second before we jump to the rest of that line. So I think right away that's kind of a trick that gives us that cozy feeling. We've already been kind of lulled into this pleasant place by the music, and then the first word we hear is home.
yeah, it definitely sets the mood. Literally
Mm-hmm.
just home, and then you just have a second to just sit with it.
Yeah. And then we get the full line is where I want to be, pick me up and turn me around. Should we read the whole verse and then go at it line by line, or should we just go
Let's
line
I
by
say
line
let's at
and
least do the first half, and then we can.
okay. So
Well,
pick
it's
me
kind
up
of
and turn me
yeah.
around. I feel numb, born with a weak heart. I guess I must be having fun.
So I mean, for me, talking about picking up and turning around sounds more like dancing, kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I'm getting out of that.
I also
Um,
associate it with it seems to be particularly in films and stuff when they like young kids see their dad or something, he'll pick them up and kind of spin around with them, right?
yeah, I guess so. Or even like if you look at, I mean, it's not so much picking up, but yeah, just that action, which doesn't necessarily have to be like kids. Now I'm thinking of Titanic, where they're spinning around at the like dance, and the camera keeps
Mm-hmm.
switching between their faces, and sometimes that gets swapped out with other things in gifs
Right.
or whatever. So that's what I'm thinking of right now. But it's that kind of an action where like they're holding each other, basically.
Yeah, it is. It is some kind of embrace,
Yeah.
and I guess whatever image that brings up. Again, it's not like a real narrative, like he says. It's just emotional imagery. It does bring up a loving image.
Mm-hmm. And then I feel numb, born with a weak heart. Guess I must be having fun. So I guess that's part of the spinning around. And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
I am now feeling something. I guess this must be like fun. But I think that's kind of calling attention to this idea of like love being kind of confusing. Like it's not an absolute. There's no like absolute knowledge of like what's happening. It's can just be like butterflies in your stomach, or the strange feelings of like like something, like maybe just warmth or whatever, just because that's how your body reacts to some of these things.
Yeah, and I wonder if the line like having a weak heart is to suggest that it could be either it's difficult for him to fall in love, or on the other side, it's very easy for him to fall in love.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking like difficult to kind of express love, or
Maybe.
difficult to resist like the emotions or something like that. Like he has to
Mm-hmm.
go with. I feel like it could mean many things, many of which are contradictory.
Yeah, and I feel like that does play well. I think maybe with I feel numb, born with a weak heart, if we take the heart to be an emotional core, maybe his feelings of numbness are born from not necessarily having the like emotional literacy.
Right.
So it and in finding this because in this feeling he says I guess I must be having fun. So he's uncertain, but like because he's maybe not used to this kind of emotional experience, but he's like, I guess this must be having fun. There is that idea, especially when you're new to any sort of like relationships. You're like, well, I guess this is good. Like,
Yeah,
I
it
don't know for
seems
sure,
good
but
or something.
yeah.
Right. And yeah, I also see it like yeah, with the weak heart, the feeling of um like the heart dropping or whatever, and the nervousness and the whatever that associated with early, or associated with sort of romantic feelings a lot of the time. Like you just feel that a lot, you know?
Hmm.
So you can't like hold your heart up. It's sinking. or whatever,
Right.
which is all, of course, kind of metaphor for just a feeling.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I guess the like feeling numb is a condition of some drugs, and
Yeah.
like often some that people take recreationally. So it's also like comparing that to love, which makes you feel certain ways. You're like, oh, I'm feeling things, so I must be having fun.
Yeah. Or like anytime you get an adrenaline rush, you kind of go like a
Hmm.
little bit numb.
Yeah.
And like I guess your blood probably leaves your extremities or whatever. So like
Hmm.
your hands kind of go numb. I don't know if you get that. I'm sure most people do. That's got to be normal.
Yeah.
Just so like fear or whatever, like primal reaction. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
So
all.
the less we say about it, the better. Which we're doing the opposite of that here. We're saying a lot more about it. We'll make it up as we go along. Feet on the ground, head in the sky. It's okay. I know nothing's wrong. Nothing.
All right, so less we say about it, the better. I'm talking about not being overly analytical about what's happening. I think, and just like let's just
Hmm.
go with the flow. It's very like, yeah, that particular kind of attitude around romance that you see in a lot of movies and stuff, and I guess songs. And maybe it's a good idea. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's that sort of like unspoken. Like we don't need to speak it because we both feel it, right?
Right. And then, so for feet on the ground, head in the sky. I mean, what I would associate that with feet on the ground is like reality, and then head
Hmm.
in the sky is sort of unreality, or like having uh, maybe lofty's maybe the wrong word, not necessarily living in reality. So like there's kind of two aspects there of the reality and the sort of fantasy side of things. Does that make
And I
sense?
wonder if, yeah, I wonder if particularly for somebody like David Byrne, who is fairly eccentric,
Right.
if there was this worry maybe that finding love would mean not having his head in the sky anymore, right? But in this experience that he finds, his feet are on the ground, so he's well grounded, but still able to be an oddball and still be weird.
Right. And still have like these somewhat eccentric but thoughts about how the relationship would would happen,
Hmm.
or how it would turn out, but also still be grounded. Like it sounds crazy, but it's realistic because he's still on the ground
Yeah.
and he knows nothing's
And
wrong.
yeah, it's okay. I know nothing's wrong. Which some people relate to the naive line where they're saying like, "Oh, the twist to this song is that he's just being naive and he's sort of covering up details." But I don't know. I don't think I agree with that.
Yeah, that's a bit. I mean, we could just interpret it as like he doesn't necessarily know what's going on exactly because maybe he is a little bit naive, but that doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong,
Hmm.
right?
Because
Doesn't mean
he
he's
himself said
wrong.
it's supposed to be an honest love song.
Yeah.
So rather than there being a twist, it's just sort of a like an honest portrayal of feeling love from what David Byrne was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
then
then
here we get into the chorus where I disagree with
ah!
how Genius is labeled. Does he say hi? Yeah.
See, I think it kind of depends. Like the live version, I always thought he said higher, but it doesn't
Hi.
really make sense. But I
Okay.
like hi yeah or hi yo or
Hi
hooey,
ho.
wah.
Hoo-ah!
Just
Yeah, he's
sounds
Al
hoo-ah.
Pacino. Hoo-ah! I got plenty of time. Hi, yeah. You got light in your eyes. And you're standing here beside me. I love the passing of time. Never for money, always for love. Cover up and say goodnight. Say goodnight. So this is essentially, I think the idea here is like the line "You've got light in your eyes" is it's reflected in another line where he says "You've got a face with a view,"
Right,
but it's he likes to look at this person.
right,
There's there's something inside them, I guess, with the light in their eyes and also their face is pretty. Would be my two interpretations, but
right. And I think the like having light in your eyes, I think usually refers to like kind of the eyes being the window to your soul or
to
whatever.
the soul,
Um,
yeah.
usually refers to like a happiness, internal joy or happiness. So he
Mm-hmm.
seems to at least read a feeling of happiness off the other person, which kind of is reassuring him.
Yeah.
And he seems to just be staring at them, like they're just like looking at each other in the eyes, which is a pretty kind of like a romantic cliche, just like
Yeah.
staring intently in one
It's
another's
yeah,
eyes.
it's an intimate act, and that's
Yeah.
how they in Scientology tricked you into trusting them is you have to stare at a person for 5 minutes.
So that's what this song is about.
That's exactly what
Scientology.
this song is about.
That's what we're
Scientology. No,
trying to
so
say.
he says I've got plenty of time, and I think that
Yeah.
refers to like in regards to spending it with you, the person I love.
Right, because it's like I don't have anything else to do because this is what I want to be doing
Mm-hmm.
mostly. And then he says, "I love the passing of time," kind of when they're
Which I
together.
yeah, when you're standing here beside me, I love the passing of time. I think those two lines are linked specifically.
Yeah, and to me, that I just get the feeling from that it's like we're not doing anything. We're idle, but I
Mm-hmm.
still love it because we're spending it together. Like that enhances it. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter that nothing's going on because of that togetherness. And I am looking at the genius annotation talking about a willful denial of anxieties. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if that is something I agree with. And
No,
talking
it's
about he
because
does not that he wants time to stop. It's just that there's nothing happening really other than time is passing.
well, yeah, because he already says he's got plenty of time, and he loves the passing of
Yeah.
time when they're standing there beside him. It's a saying that yes, I would love to use the time I have, which is a lot, with you. I love that we pass time together. There is no freezing a moment. This isn't Time Stand Still by Rush.
Oh,
It's
I'm not looking back, but I want to look around me now. Yeah,
stand
sorry.
still.
Got excited.
And it's not once in a lifetime by Talking Heads either, where it's about this getting your head out of the water and seeing how
That
like
yeah.
unconsciously you've been living. This is about consciously enjoying spending time with another person.
Mhm.
And then the next line, "Never for money, always for love," is actually borrowed from a song by the art punk group Wire.
Oh
They
yeah.
use the same line in the song "Practice Makes Perfect." In there, the line is actually used specifically to refer to sex. And they
Right.
say, I've done this before, never for money, always for love.
And this is I mean is that's what I got out of this line was like also, you're not a prostitute. So cool.
Is that what I got? It was more like, and maybe this is, I don't know if they put this in there. Yeah, I kind of been borrowing from the Genius annotation where the passing of time for money would mean working a job. And
Oh,
so,
I see. I like that better cuz it's less like lame and out of
yeah,
place. So that's better. He's not there because he's being paid to do it. He's talking about himself.
yeah.
He's not talking about the other person. All right. Yeah, I
He's like,
like
I'm
that's way
doing this
better. That's
for
way better.
love. I'm not doing it for even a sense of security or anything necessarily, even though he does feel secure there, as we'll get into. But yeah, never for money, always for love. I think that's a great line to have borrowed from a punk song that has a little more of a like edgy connotation in it there. But like I think that's cool.
Right. It's almost part of that like naive thing, like denying the sort of edge and just being like earnest about it.
Mm-hmm. And then the final line, "Cover up and say goodnight." Kind of like just kind of wraps up the chorus where at the start he's like, "I got plenty of time. We're standing here together. We're passing time." Suddenly, oh, it's at nighttime. We're gonna put the covers on. It's good
Yeah,
night.
it's kind of acknowledging that the time has passed, but it's still like not really anything really changed. It's just the time happened,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's time to say goodnight.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go into verse 2, where home is where I want to be, same as the first verse. But I guess I'm already there. I come home. She lifted up her wings. I get this. I guess that this must be the place.
So I mean, he's calling her an angel, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why I was thinking of just like a big swan.
Big fucking pterodactyl,
Because
just
don't like
welcoming
birds
you
do that,
home.
where they cover up their little younglings with their big fucking wings.
Yeah, I guess they do. So maybe, yeah, then that maybe is also. I feel like there's an angel thing there, right?
Yeah, I think you might like.
But
I think we've kind of hit on the, and this is like a classic Talking Heads thing where it's almost one thing and not quite another, right?
yeah,
Like
it's
it's.
like because like I mean you'd think it's there's like the cliche of calling a loved one an angel, right? But
Mm-hmm.
also there's the like security imagery of
Yeah,
like a swan, like you said, like a bird of that kind, like covering up the younglings, we'll call them,
that's what we call
with
them.
with their wing, and that's like secure, and a lot of this song does touch on that and talk about or have this feeling of like security in your home with someone you care
Mm-hmm.
about.
Yeah, it's cozy, like you said, and
Yeah.
that is that line, regardless of which interpretation you use, feels cozy. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I like is home is where I want to be, but I guess I'm already there.
Okay.
And it's this idea, and it makes me think of part of it makes me think of a line in a homeless gospel choir song. It's the final one on the album Normal, where he says, "I was born so far away from home, I forget sometimes where I'm supposed to go."
Hmm.
And here, where the concept of home, I feel like maybe it's about his own personal ambitions. When you're like, I need to get this, this, and this done, and then I will be home. I'll be where I want to be.
Right.
But then he's waking up in this relationship and being like, oh, I guess I'm already there.
Yeah, this is what I where I want to be, which is
Mm-hmm.
home.
I guess that
It
this
already
must be
is
the
where he needs to
place.
be. This must be the place. It's a fun way of saying it too. Of just like by process of elimination, this has to be the place.
This has to be the place. And it's such a line that, you use it when you're a little bit lost. Your friends are like, oh, the concert's over here or whatever. And then you show up to some dingy place and you like hear music. You're like, well, this must be the place.
Can't be anywhere else. Like logically speaking, and that's the other kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's got that like robotic feeling of like logically this must be the place to me anyway, which is kind of like
Mm-hmm.
so David Byrne.
Yeah. It's just like, well, I've looked at everything else and this must be the place.
um, let's see what else we got there. I can't tell one from the other. Did I find you or you find me? Sometimes they put another "Did you find me" in there.
Yeah.
Which yeah, that's another one kind of almost tie into like that time passing thing of like, but not quite. I don't know. Like the past is just like unclear. Like I don't remember the specifics, but like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just like, and suddenly, and then maybe that it kind of speaks to things he talks about in Once in a Lifetime, where it's like suddenly you're there, right? Like
Yeah.
there's just now you guys are together, and you don't even remember really the specifics of what happened. And it speaks also to the line in the first verse about the less we say about it, the better.
Right. You don't need to talk about it and analyze it, what happened, why it happened. Just
Yeah, you
it
don't
did
you don't
happen.
need this like, yeah, exactly, laid out love story of how you got to be here. It's just we found each other. I don't know if you found me or I found you, but here we go.
And
And then we
then
go to there was a time before we were born. If someone asks, this is where I'll be, where I'll be.
yeah, so this is probably one of the more esoteric lines
Yeah, for sure.
in the thing. Do you have a read on it?
And this is again me kind of pulling from the genius annotation where they talk about this idea that of how apparently in Plato's Symposium, Aristophanes tells a story about how long ago humans had two faces, four arms, four legs, two sets of genitals, and then the gods were like, "Hey, fuck you guys for being human, split everybody in two," and that's like the concept of soulmates. But
Ah,
so in some sense, there was a time before we were born. I also kind of think of it in like the collective, like sort of unconsciousness kind of thing, where you know, we are all one kind of, if you want to call it hippy dippy nonsense. But there was a time before we were born where we were really, truly just one person. And if somebody asks, that's where I'll be. I'll be sort of living in that mind state.
right. So this sort of like concept of like this shared unconscious of like where souls go or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe before life or between lives or however whatever you're
Yeah, wherever it
interpretation
is
is.
where
And
where you like remove the lines between what is you and what's everything else, right?
right. Did you ever read the His Dark Materials books?
No,
In
I didn't. Is that the
particular,
golden compass and
yeah, the
shit?
Golden Compass, the Subtle Knife, and the Amber Spyglass.
Mm.
Um, that just kind of relates to something because they're like talking about, as you may know in that story, they at one point
They
kill
have a
God
big
and
polar
like
bear. Yeah, oh yeah.
realize that, yeah, realize that like there's no like the afterlife is like harpies, and anyway, they basically realize in the end that when they die, they become particles
Mm.
and and just like become part of matter. They're just matter, and
Yeah.
then they have to, the two main characters, they're like, we're in love, but we have to like seal up these doors between worlds so we can never see each other again because we're from different realities or whatever.
Right.
So then they're like, but one day we'll find each other and our particles will like intertwine. So I'm thinking of that now. It's way too much backstory on that, man.
Yeah. It also, you know what that that brings to mind to me. Did you ever read the what is it, the Silver Wing series, the Bat books?
Yes, yeah, yeah. Silverwing or
Silverwing,
Nightwing? No, that's a
I
superhero.
think it's
No.
Silverwing, Sunwing, and then Firewing.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Yeah. And so in the last book they go to hell. They go to Bat Hell.
Yes, they do go to bad hell.
And then the guy who's been the protagonist of the first two books has to save his son from hell, but then he dies in the process. And then like the last chapter, he finds that he is like this entity, but he can just like merge with any like living thing and sort of experience it.
Okay, I forgot about that, but I do remember him becoming like a bat ghost of some kind.
Yeah, he would just like fly into trees or into bugs and shit, and then so he eventually experiences oneness because he gets out of hell and just like kind of exists on Earth as this entity.
Yeah, so that's kind of the feeling I'm getting with this. Is like, there was a time a long time ago. Yeah, if you kind of like combine that with the soulmate thing, it's like all matter, and
Mm-hmm.
he's basically saying they're from the same asteroid, except no.
Yeah,
But
he's you know.
I don't know. Is that what he's saying? Because I was trying to like this is where I'll be. Like I'll be what, just here, home. But then what does the
Mm-hmm.
past thing have to do with anything? It's very confusing.
I feel like the mindset is where he'll be. Because this must be the
Yeah.
place,
Okay.
right? But he's kind of referring both to the home in this song is not necessarily a physical space.
Right. He said, "I
It's
guess I'm already there. Like I want
yeah,
to be
it's
there.
I
Well, I
come
guess I
home.
am,
She
but it's not
lifted up her
clear."
wings. She's home,
Right. The
and
swan.
yeah, the swan angel.
The swan angel is home in Bat Hell.
In
I'm
Bat
finding
Hell.
this conversation hard to follow.
Listen, you kill God, you go to Bat Hell, you get out.
And then you find your swan angel. That's how life works.
That's
Before
just
you
the
were
way it
born.
is. Fucking read a book.
Jeez.
Jeez, Louise. But yeah, that's. I think the idea is, yeah, that there is a state of oneness before we are humans, and that mentally, that's where he's going to be with this person he
Right,
loves.
and sort of this romance is recreating this state of oneness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so then we go into chorus 2. Hiya, we drift in and out.
Hiya!
Hiya! Hiya! Sing into my
Sing
mouth. Out of
into
all
my
those
m-
kinds of people, you got a face with a view.
I'm just okay. So we won't go on yet. So we drift in and
Mhm.
out of sleep, or is he talking about how the relationship is like a dream? So like you're drifting in and out, like it's a dream, and maybe it's not always perfect. You fight or something, but then you drift into
Yeah.
the dream and you're out, and it's dreamy.
Mm-hmm. It's
Maybe
I think yeah, that's one
it's
like yeah,
that's
it's
that's
sort of
a
like
that's
a
I'm reaching for that one, but it's an
it's like a
interpretation.
consciousness thing where they drift in and out. It could be Genius seems to think that it's they drift in and out of touch, but I don't know, that doesn't seem to fit in with everything else. It could be that I don't know, like they in this sense of oneness, they kind of drift in and out of each other, right? I don't know. I feel like
Yeah.
you're on track with the consciousness thing, because
Or
that seems
like,
to be like a Talking Heads kind of theme
yeah.
in their songs. Is this
Yeah.
what is
Well, yeah,
consciousness?
drifting in and out of consciousness. I mean, they just talked about like we're going to sleep now. S-
Mm-hmm.
we drift in and out of consciousness because we're just laying down, sleeping.
Right.
That's the most
And then
literal interpretation, I
it
think.
could be fucking, right? Like drifting your
Yeah, it
body
could be.
parts in and out.
I mean, then he talks about singing to my mouth. Is that kissing? Are they kissing? Is it kissing?
Yeah, so it's based on he saw an image of Inuit throat singers who used this actual technique of
Oh,
singing into the
I
other
didn't
person's
actually
mouth.
read any of the genius annotations in this one because I was like, I'm on top of this shit.
I'm on top of this shit.
But
Yeah,
I'm
well, I
watching the
actually
video now.
yeah, so yeah, these throat singers will use the other person's mouth as a like an amplifier essentially to
Oh, that's
resonate in
cool.
their mouth. So he saw that image and was like, "Oh,
Oh,
that's kind of like sweet love." So yeah, I
so
think it is like a
they're
like a
using
yeah.
each
Sorry, go
other.
ahead.
They're using each other to amplify their own singing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's something there metaphorically.
Yeah, it's sort of like again like a naive way to talk about kissing in a way. It's like, oh, sing into my mouth. Like this is what we do when we kiss.
But also, each is causing the other to become greater than they
Mm-hmm.
were on their own because they can sing into each other's mouths and amplify their singing. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And out of all those kinds of people, this relates to the previous line about eyes with light in them. You got a face with a view.
Yeah, that's a good. There's a couple good lines in this chorus that you could just like, that I could see like on T-shirts or like
Hell yeah.
motivational. You got a face with a view, which is like, what a hottie.
Yeah, it also sounds like it's like one step away from being like a forehead diss.
Got a face with a view, dude. Don't know why you're calling them dude necessarily, but in this context, we'll say it makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then, okay, next line. Also, this is the other line
Mm-hmm.
that I think, like, I can see this on a mug, like, or someone's like, I'm just an animal looking for a home. Share the same
Yeah,
space for a minute or two. Like, that's the line, man.
that
That's
is
the
the
one.
line.
It's like we're just animals, Nothing matters. Everybody,
Mm-hmm.
we're hairless apes. So fuck it. Let's just be in the same area generally, because we kind of both like it.
It's like I don't know. It's like a very just a simple like primitive concept.
Yeah, and it's like love, man. It's basic.
Mm-hmm. It's
Whatever.
basic. Share the same space for a minute or two, and you're right. There's a sense of scale in this. I'm just an animal, and we're only going to share this space for a minute or two.
Yeah, it's
Like that's what
temporary.
our lives are. It's fucking quick. And then we get into the next one. You love me till my heart stops. Love me till I'm dead. Eyes that light. Oh, let's do just the first two lines because the last two are I think the most difficult maybe in the whole song.
Ooh.
But yeah, you love me till my heart stops. Love me till I'm dead. Because we're gonna be together
Yeah.
forever, or at
Forever.
least
A
until
minute or
death.
two, which is forever.
Yeah. And then yeah, eyes that light up. Eyes look through you. Cover up the blank spots. Hit me on the head. Ah ooh.
Ah woo.
Werewolves of London.
Ah woo.
Ooh.
Is that a dog? Is he supposed to be a dog there? An animal?
I don't. Yeah, maybe
Ah
because it is kind of
woo.
like a
Like a
wolf.
howl. Anyway, so you said
And
these last two lines were the most difficult lines, you think?
yeah,
The
it's
most packed with
eyes
meaning.
that light up, eyes look through you. That part is eyes looking through you is sort of if you look through somebody, it's you've seen their shit, you know who
Yeah.
they are,
Yeah, you
and
like
then
you can see through their facade. You can see into the core of who they are.
mm-hmm. And then we got cover up the blank spots, hit me on the head. Some people seem to suggest that again, this is him kind of anxiously looking at it and being like, "Oh, you've got these eyes that look through, and so you can see sort of my flaws, and so I want to cover up the blank spots, and to do that, I need head trauma." Or that
Okay.
he sees through like the flaws in the relationship, and those are the blank spots, or that them being together covers up his blank spots, but they don't really fill the holes. And I don't know, those all feel like too 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 dark for me for this song.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see it. Like, there are blank spots, and like either we know they're there, we acknowledge them, and we live with them, or we help each other cover up the blank spots or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're working together to make each other better people, like the singing thing, where they amplify each other's singing
Yeah.
by singing directly into each other's faces.
But then why do you need to hit him on the head?
I I don't know, but the other thing I did read this genius annotation,
Mm-hmm.
just talking about like a feeling of love, feeling like you got hit on the head by this thing. Now, it doesn't
Right.
necessarily connect with what we said about the previous line, previous part. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know totally, but discreetly they all
I
make
guess
sense.
maybe he's just talking about what the eyes did. The eyes that light up, which I believe are her eyes. Eyes look through you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
Um,
eyes that are lighting up, which means they look happy. That's
yeah, and they both cover up the blank spots and hit him on the head, so they kind of put him in a daze and also make him feel
oh.
okay about his
Right,
emptiness.
it covers up his own insecurities or inadequacies, and makes him feel like he's woozy or dizzy or whatever, because they're giving him this vertigo because he's so crazy in love.
Yeah, and like, when you come from that space, if you're particularly self-critical, and then somebody looks at you with these eyes that you feel like if you feel that they are sharp and they see a lot of things, and if they look at you and sort of are just like that's good, this is a good person. They in that instance cover up your blank spots. It is sort of a dazing, like confusing moment. You're like, well, wait a
Yeah,
second.
yeah. Have you ever received a compliment and you're like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, dude, and you're just like, oh
You're
my
like,
god, what?
"Thanks, I guess, but really?" And then you start to think about it, and you're like, "I need to be in this conversation right now and not thinking about this thing they said."
Yeah, I'll
But
like go deep
it's very
analysis on the
nice.
comment, like word by
Yeah.
word, and then I'm like, wait, you gotta pay attention.
Wait, you're living in reality. Focus, focus.
Focused. So yeah, I feel like maybe it's that kind of sensation.
I like that best. That makes it all fit because it is one line. Cover the blank spots, hit me on the head. It's like those,
Mm-hmm.
like they're connected, the ideas. So it's like they're doing those two things, even just by looking. That's what
Yeah.
most of the action in this song is, just like staring directly at another person, which
Mm-hmm.
I believe
And
David Byrne would do.
I believe he would do that. And it's yeah, to be seen is something that we enjoy as humans. I think we said this on the podcast before, but just having somebody see you and be like, no, it's good. You're like, ah, this is the best.
Yeah,
So those are the lyrics.
they are.
Hopefully, we got something out of all that.
Well, we
It's
just spent 45 minutes on it, so I hope so.
oh
40,
fuck yeah! Here
40
I
minutes.
can summarize it for you. It's a love song made up almost completely of non sequiturs, phrases that may have a strong emotional resonance but don't have any narrative qualities. Thanks for coming out, folks.
Amazing.
Let's talk about the instrumentation.
So as we mentioned, there's a lot of Prophet 5 on this. There's a lot of synthesizer.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in with a like bass line that plays mostly throughout, possibly entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Bum bum pretty simple sound. That's on a Prophet 5. And then pretty quick after that, it also there's a guitar that comes in too.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I totally missed. The guitar starts as well. It starts on the there's two like drum hits. And then
Yeah.
so there's so that's that synthesizer playing the bass line, and then there's another guitar just going playing these like
That's
three
right.
note groups.
That is correct. And then you got the synth bass doing that doon 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 doon.
Yeah, and it's kind of a neat sound. It's like a little bouncy,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thin and bouncy, which I think works with the naive thing too. Just like being a little meek maybe, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of positive, which often positivity can be associated with naivete. Maybe unfairly, but there's definitely an association there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then the other synthesizer comes in, which sounds probably also Prophet 5. That's kind of more like fluty, where it goes do 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 do, and
Mm-hmm.
has there's like some pitch bending.
Yeah, and it's just like every piece of this is so simple and yet like hypnotic in how it all fits together.
Yeah, it's. I mean, and we talked about it before on when we did Once in a Lifetime, but there's a lot of like that repetition where when they talked about it, they called it like samples, but they were playing them just over and over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's there, but it's a lot like softer and simpler. But there's
Yeah,
some
100%.
complexities in this song too.
Yeah, I would say the complexity comes not from any individual like track, but how they all kind of fit together, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That sounds right to me.
And then you get because after you get that sort of fluty synth, you get that one that kind of like is like
Yeah, and that's where you get the real, like a lot of pitch bending where they go.
mm-hmm.
So that's fun. That's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of use of the pitch bend, which sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and when you get the vocals coming in, which are, just as soft as everything else in this song, at least at the start,
Hmm.
that you get the guitar coming in too, doing that ba-na-na-na, da-na-na-na.
Yeah, it's a lot of little parts.
It almost reminds me of how on This Charming Man, the guitarist did like 19 tracks for the guitar.
Right, but it doesn't sound like 19 tracks at all. So
That's like that's kind of like the vibe this gives me.
yeah, and it's tough to make things fit together, and there's a lot of layers here, so it's pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. Let's see what
And yeah,
else.
so like he punches the vocals a bit more on the chorus, but even then, it's still not like earth shattering.
Yeah, it's got this kind of. I mean, he often has that where it's like this almost like detached, disinterested sound to his voice, the way he
Mm-hmm.
talks. Although maybe this isn't as much of that, especially on the verse. It's kind of less of that on the
Yeah.
chorus, I should say, and that higher, whatever he says. Really like is used, I think, to good effect to get to punch it up a bit.
It really brings you into the chorus where
Yeah,
the another synth line comes in there and kind of
yeah.
starts punching things up too.
Plays it's kind of almost a little fluty too, where it's just like do 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 do.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like since you still have that hypnotic like synth bass running through, it
Mm-hmm.
it kind of keeps it grounded still. So when it transitions back into the verse with a short instrumental phrase, it's fucking good. Like it's smooth.
Yeah, like it is pretty smooth, and I do know I had some trouble like not having really critically listened to this before. It can be a little bit difficult to identify the verse versus the chorus. Like it sounds like pretty continuous,
Mm-hmm.
a
hundred
lot of
percent.
because of that bass line, I think.
Yeah, because it really holds it down. It's just like this is the bass line. It is it's like perfect timing on that fucking thing because it's on a
Hmm.
synth. It's because I tried playing along with like an actual bass guitar and it's just like mechanical, man. It's like clockwork.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very consistent. And I mean, I played along with my synthesizer too a little bit. So, it's it's not terribly difficult.
No.
It's pretty simple, pretty catchy. Sounds good.
And there's I just heard him go off at around 347. Shit, maybe a little before 347. Yeah, like 345 it'll go off at 346. Um I think they're hitting bottles for percussion.
Bottles, eh?
Yeah, I can only half confirm this cuz I
Yeah,
was
it does
like
sound glassy.
I was like listening to it on Spotify through the PlayStation and sometimes it gives you like Genius annotations
Right.
that aren't always available on the actual Genius page for some reason.
Oh.
And this
Huh.
one said that it was like some sort of like ballet professional who like was playing the bottles for percussion for them on this track.
Okay. I guess
But
what else would you use a ballet professional for?
now I can't seem to find the Genius Spotify annotations anymore.
Huh.
So I don't know. I don't know what the fuck.
I don't know what the fuck either, man.
But that's just something I noticed is that little unusual percussion.
Um there's also like it does build as it goes. So like on the if you go to like 211, there's some more of those hits there as well. It's kind of like an organ sound. Like playing like staccato, like pretty fast, like it's an organ that would have like a longer attack, but like you don't get the full note in before it like cuts out.
Okay.
So it's like just putting a little bit in. Just a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. So like you kind of grow that grows throughout, and there's some interesting sounds later on. There's like if you get into like the outro section, there's like some more like boodoo and like those organ sounds and like some kind of distorted percussion that sounds like that bottle, but like if someone took that bottle and just like distorted it a bit,
Right.
or maybe a lot. I don't think it's
yeah,
I don't
know
think
how
it's
much
that
you gotta
much.
distort a bottle.
But it sounds distorted as well. Yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of like just broken up. And I thought that might be some kind of cowbell, but glass makes more sense based on what it sounds like.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, you get these sort of like unusual instrumental choices even amongst some pretty like standard synth, like unified synth.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, we're gonna throw in bottles for percussion. That's just like wouldn't think of those working together, but they come together almost seamlessly.
And I mean, that's most of it. There's like a synthesizer solo. Well, the solo bit happens a second time.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, I mean, like we said, it kind of builds. There's more of this like kind of chaos, this other stuff coming in as you go with that organ and with the bottles. And there's another like really deep synthesizer. Again, if you go to like 210,
right?
There's like really occasional like boodaloo, like very low, like bassy synth.
Yeah.
So there's stuff that gets added as it goes, and then when they do the second chorus, there's lots of like vocal layers.
Oh yeah.
Or
and
like
then
they add another kind of like offset. David Byrne. There's a second David Byrne.
A second David Byrne has entered the building, and then he starts really hitting like the second half of the chorus, particularly. Like love me till my heart stops.
Love me till my heart stops. And then there's two of them. Yeah, if we sang it at the exact same time, we'd have an offset, but it would be hard.
Hey, yeah, buddy. What else do I have to say about this one? It's apparently it's a GABA chord progression. Can you confirm that, Alex?
I cannot.
Okay.
But that's pretty simple, so I'd believe it.
I would believe it.
Also, sometimes GABA is used to short GABA as a short version of gabapentin, which is medication that I used to dispense sometimes when I worked in pharmacy.
Nice. Who'd you dispense it to? Who's the most famous person you dispensed
Who's the most famous person?
GABA to?
Don't tell anyone this. It's kind of secret, but the Pope. At some random fucking pharmacy in Calgary. The Pope, not the Pope of the Catholic Church, though. The other
not.
Pope.
You know the Pope we're talking about,
Yeah,
people.
You know who I mean.
Should we get poping off on the covers?
Yeah, we need to.
We're gonna double time here, man.
We talked about this song a lot.
Yeah.
All right, covers.
Shawn Colvin, 1994.
Shawn Colvin. Just kidding. I put him in the wrong order.
Home is where I want to be. Pick me up and turn me round. I come home.
This is kind of an acoustic version. Oh wait, who's Shawn Colvin? Who is Shawn Colvin?
She's an American singer-songwriter. Her most well-known song is 1997's Sonny Came Home, which won a Grammy in that year. So it actually might be 1996 Sonny Came Home.
So yeah, she's a Grammy winner, which is great, but I've never heard of her.
Never heard of her. This is from her album Cover Girl, where she also covers Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, except she changes she to he, and we didn't talk about that version because I probably couldn't find it.
Certainly didn't. So this is kind of an acoustic version. Lots of guitar picking and strumming. Singing is a little twangy, little on the twangy side.
Right, because she's a little more on that folk country vibe.
She's got a little folk country going on. And there's a lot of like her. She's like doing the like strum pick hit guitar body thing, like singer songwriter stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And there's also this like really low harp sound.
Is that one that's like dun dun dun?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, exactly.
my
Like,
god,
boom,
I was
boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I said
I
harp.
was trying to figure out what it was, but yeah, that makes sense.
Could be synthesizer. It sounds like a harp, but like really deep. So like it's very
Yeah.
like dark harp.
Mm-hmm. And we do, but I feel
yeah.
like there is also strings that come in on the chorus.
Yeah.
So I feel like a harp
There
wouldn't
are.
be out of place.
Yeah, they build up in the second half of the chorus. They start just like kind of that, you know, string swell, I guess.
Yeah, and in terms of like punching up the like love song quality of this song, I feel like that swell on the chorus really works.
Right.
And then we get a flute actually.
There's
Something flute sounding.
Yeah. Where's that flute?
Hang on, it's around.
Yeah, there's some like woodwind
150.
sounds. I swear I heard
Yeah.
like oboe and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And they do like little.
Yeah, so like there's some instruments on this one. It's kind of it's like low key version. Like it's singer songwriter with some backing acoustic stuff. And it's also much more continuous. Like the original one's fairly continuous feeling, but there's also like solos in between verses or whatever, or instrumental breaks. But this doesn't have that. It's just one thing after the other.
Yeah.
So it's shorter.
Yeah, it does run
It's like
about a minute
4
shorter.
minutes long. Yeah. So yeah, just go. And it's sparser, a little shorter. Sorry, I wrote a note. I'm trying to figure out what it means. I wrote outro stay pretty understated. And it purports to be live because there's clapter at the end.
Because there's clapter. Is that the correct term?
No, but it should be.
It bugs me every time I hear it. It's like,
The-
it should be real. But
The
it's
term
not.
is applause.
Applause.
But clapter sounds very, very nice.
Velociclaptor. My favorite dinosaur. Yeah, so it does. She just kind of does like a little acoustic groove down at the end. It's just like boom, boom, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, slow picking a chord.
Slow pick, and then people lose their fucking minds.
Shawn.
Yeah, Shawn Colvin.
Yeah, and I thought this one was pretty well done.
Yeah, I think it really thrives in how it uses these more orchestral instruments and like woodwinds and stuff to kind of build little moments in it rather than just being a straight acoustic cover.
Yeah, and it doesn't I don't know if it's like I don't know how many instruments there are, but adding instruments that normally would be part of like an orchestra, it didn't make it feel like too big or anything. Like it still feels small and personal.
Yeah.
So she
It's
did
like
a pretty good job.
I feel like if it was in a movie, it would be like two people in love are like rebuilding an old family house or something, right? They come in there and there's like dust on all the things and sheets, and that would be the montage of them fixing it up and accidentally falling in love.
Whoops.
Whoopsies. So yeah, this one was actually like a good acoustic version. We're gonna jump 9 years into the future, though. Just kidding. 19 years into the future. To Kishi Bashi in 2013.
Home is where I want to be. Pick me up and turn me round. I feel numb, born with a weak heart. So guess I must be.
So this is a guy. He's like a multi-instrumentalist and a singer-songwriter. And according to his description in Spotify, is on tour forever.
Oh wow,
That's his bio
that's life sentence
in its entirety.
his birth name or real name or legal name, whatever you want to call it. His stage name is Kishi Bashi. His name is Kaoru Ishibashi. And he was born in Seattle, raised in Virginia. He's done some work with other bands, but yeah, he started doing solo stuff in 2011.
Yeah, and this is some of that. So it's all strings to open it.
Yeah.
Couple stringed instruments, I'm assuming, where it's kind of playing like the bass part. It's not quite the same, but like it's very similar. It's playing like
Yeah, it hits
boom,
like the
ba-dum,
key
boom,
beats.
ba-dum, boom, ba-dum, boom. Yeah. And then there's some lower and higher string sounds in there. It's kind of like one that's just like "Rah, rah, rah,"
Mm-hmm.
and then it plays a bum 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 ba-da-la-la-la-la, which I believe is in the original done in thirds, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
It does
I
not
believe
work
it.
if you do it if you just because like it's thirds, but if you're in the key, sometimes it's going to be a major third, sometimes it's going to be a minor third. So like if you just tune it to a major third, say on your synthesizer, it doesn't sound good.
Right.
Anyway, that's
so
all for
it's
me.
yeah, well, he comes in with that. His intro on this is what, about 50 seconds long? No, a little shorter than that.
Hmm.
Shit, it's like maybe 30 seconds.
Okay.
27 seconds is how long it is.
All
So
right.
it's pretty short compared to the original, which is 1:05.
Yeah.
He's got like a pretty good voice. He sounds like the kind of guy who likes like singers like David Byrne, but he's like too professionally trained to sing with that sort of like offbeat kind of voice.
But he kind of like does a little bit. I actually thought
Yeah.
I was expecting this to be instrumental at first.
Me too.
Before he came, because I was like, oh yeah, there's all those strings, so it's gonna be like a VSQ thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's Vitamin String Quartet? In case anyone, we talk about them sometimes.
You know, the VSQ, bro.
VSQ.
Down with
it's
the
so much
VSQ?
faster to say. Ugh. So then, let's see. Silence. Yeah, so he's singing. It's kind of doing the same bass line. Then he gets to the chorus and it kind of adds, like pizzicato strings. Actually, before that, it
Yeah.
does. Get that like bing, 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 bing kind of thing.
Yeah, oh yeah, he does a lot of that like plucking on violins in the back to sort of substitute the guitar.
Yes, and then once he does get to the chorus, there's like this high, repeated.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, like I'm gonna say violin because I don't know stringed instruments that well. But
Oh
like,
yeah, that's
but it doesn't sound like a horror movie. Like it's,
yeah.
but it's very like striking.
This is like maybe a lower budget version of what Jacob Collier does.
Yeah, it seems like a similar idea, but with less
Yeah,
less like modern considerations, we'll say.
and less instruments at his disposal. It's mostly strings, so it's like a light orchestra.
Yeah, I guess so. Of course. Okay, and then like changes quite a bit. I didn't put a timestamp in. It is this is the chorus. Second part of the chorus, right? Let me hang on, I gotta listen. Okay, for the "You're Standing Here Beside Me" stuff. That's where you like there's like a different bass line playing this like kind of arpeggio or playing like longer notes. There's a higher part playing this like arpeggio thing. And like it feels like it changes quite a bit in like an instant.
Oh yeah, it really it goes from being that sort of like straight down to suddenly everything is like moving in the lower range there.
Yeah. It's just it's all over it's wild, man. It's just a lot of things happening.
Yeah, so like where the last one was very like personal and small with the instruments, this one goes very big.
Yes, and it still works. There doesn't seem to be an issue there to me.
Yeah, especially because he's still doing the biggest punches on the chorus, which is
right,
pretty much in line with the original.
True, that's true. And I'm sorry, there's one more thing for his second chorus. Okay, it's like after he does his "Hey-O" parts, it's like 2:35. Like the bass cuts out totally. It was out of all those kinds of people. You like lose the bass for a couple lines. And then the higher part's like playing that arpeggio and then it just like goes back into the other instrumentation.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think his voice changes too much, so maybe he kind of used that to kind of punch the moment without having to strain his vocals.
Cutting out the bass briefly. is
Mhm.
often
Draws
a good time.
attention.
You're like, damn, what
Yeah.
happened here? And then it's like, okay, no, it's fine. Whew.
Yeah.
I almost thought something was happening, but something did happen. So, but then it's gone.
So, and he does a lot of the versions. We didn't talk about this with Shawn Colvin, but at
Mhm.
the end of her version, she ends up repeating the phrase "say goodnight" a bunch towards the end.
Oh, that's right.
Kishi Bashi here does the "oohs" a bunch, at least a couple times.
Which is kind of like the live version from Stop Making Sense,
Stop making sense.
because that's how
right,
they
which-
end it.
And that's honestly probably how a lot of people heard it, because
Yeah.
Stop Making Sense was the super duper popular.
Yeah, that's the first place I ever heard it.
Mm,
So that's the version that I probably know best.
right.
Yeah. So I also liked this one.
Yeah, solid, like more orchestral,
Yeah.
kind of big piece. I'm a smart music guy. I use words like big when I talk about music.
This one's
Speaking
big.
of big,
This one's small. This one's
here's a. This next one was written by a tiger.
wow. What
wow, it's
size
brother-
of tiger?
Like a brother-sized tiger.
S-
Brothertiger in 2014.
Brothertiger, who we talked about on our Songs from the Big Chair episode, where we
Mhm.
talked about the entire album, Songs from the Big Chair, and his cover of Songs from the Big Chair. You can see someone posted this on YouTube, but the
Mhm.
background is just like a lady from the 80s with what look like pads from headphones, but I think they're earrings. They're bright orange. She's got some polka dots on. I'm assuming this is the 80s, but it could be not the 80s easily. It could be some other decade.
Right.
Did you see that? I don't know. Anyway, it's just she's
No, I
staring.
didn't.
It's like a model. Anyway, not important. I don't know who posted this.
That's very important to me now, Alex.
Yeah. So this is Brothertiger. He's a electronic music artist. Don't call it chillwave.
Don't you dare call it chill.
I
wave.
would never. This is the least chill wave I've
Okay,
ever
yeah,
ridden
I'm
on.
seeing this 80s mom now, and it's the whole video.
Yep. It's just a still of. I mean, at least it's
She
not
got-
an anime waifu. Because
Is that a
we've seen that
big
before.
earring, or is that just
I think it's a big earring,
okay?
but I don't know what it's made of. Oh, it's just a round thing. It's just round, I think. Like it's metal.
It's just I think it's just a big round metal
and someone
thing.
painted it orange. And it's probably sitting somewhere with chips in the paint right now. Like could be anywhere. Could be a dump. I don't know. Maybe someone still owns it. What's the
Yeah,
history
maybe.
of that earring?
Nobody knows, Alex. Somebody on the YouTube comments here said that the only negative thing about this cover is that it's not long enough. I would argue that they are wrong,
Yeah,
and it's
because
a perfectly fine length, if not a bit too long.
I believe the response to that comment is it's longer than the original. Or something like that. But yeah,
the guy says plenty, bud.
plenty.
And then the other guy says it's 30 seconds longer than the original, but okay.
So yeah, this one's longer and it's Brothertiger, so it's a lot of synthesizers. More
Yeah.
synthesizers?
Strangely
Maybe.
enough, though, the extra length is not in the intro. The intro is actually 4 seconds shorter.
Yeah, it just kind of has longer like solo bits throughout, and like the end kind of loops a bit.
Yeah. So yeah, this
Um,
is dense with synth. It's all synth and then him singing.
Yeah, so it's like it's got that bass synthesizer intro. It's a lot thicker now. A lot of this the synthesizer work is just like wider.
Yeah.
Like it thickens everything up a bit. It adds another like kind of texture synth during that intro solo,
Mm-hmm.
playing like do, and it's like kind of doing that guitar part with the like 3 hits from the original.
Right.
And then he starts singing. Kind of reminds me of Francis and the Lights, like a bit.
Yeah, a bit. It just reminded me mostly of Brother Tiger's covers of not Talking Heads, Tears for Fears. Remind me of
Yeah.
his Talking Heads cover
Yeah.
of This Must Be the Place.
Oh wow, amazing! How did he invoke that?
But yeah, he's got a bit of that it's a modified voice, but it's singing in an almost
Yeah, I think it's just a lot of echo or something, but
yeah, it's like a more subdued singing.
exactly. But you just kind of like turn up the volume and add a bunch of echo, and you're like, "What's going on?" But it sounds
Yeah,
kind
you're
of
like,
cool.
is it a man or machine?
Whoa.
Oh.
And let's see. Yeah, so there's a lot of synthesizers. He also doesn't do any pitch bending, which I didn't hear any.
Yeah, no, you're right. He does a very straight playing of notes
Yeah.
rather than
Because and that
anything.
pitch bending is a pretty distinct part of the original. So not having that, I mean, he still plays all the notes, but instead of bending, he just plays a different note.
Yeah. And so what we noticed when we talked about him on the songs from the Big Chair episode is he likes to layer in a lot of like different synths, sort of build like a soundscape.
Yeah.
And so we get some of that here. You talked about the sort of triplet echoey synth that does that.
Yeah.
And there's other ones he throws in here. He does some little flourishes during like the synth break segments. But yeah, that's sort of his realm, is just kind of being like, let's put in extra layers of synth that don't necessarily like super duper change the song, but yeah, they're there.
Yeah, it just makes it sound kind of more modern electronic music-ish, you know? Like, this is more what I would expect to dance to somewhere, anywhere.
Yeah.
Even though this is, what year is this from?
2014.
2014? Oh, it's not that old.
Not that old.
6
It's
years.
older than his Tears for Fears covers, which was 2017.
2016 was a million years ago. I lied.
That's yeah. Should we move into Iron and Wine, Alex?
I'm trying to think if there's anything else about this one. He kind of has his own outro thing. Like, he does the oohs.
Yeah,
But
same
then he
as
has the,
Kishi
like,
Bashi.
kind of a brassy type synth tune, like bam, 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 bam.
That's right.
And that's kind of, yeah. So it's more, this one's got a little more of that like triumphant edge because it has the kind of brassy sound. The synthesizers themselves are a little less like subdued and filtered.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I think he prides himself on being a producer more than a singer, right? So I think his
Yeah.
focus is always on having the the instrumental tracks play well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like Brother Tiger, you're probably like this.
Yeah. All right.
Now, let's talk about Iron and Wine in 2015 featuring
Iron
Ben
and
Bridwell.
Home is where I wanna be. Pick me up and then turn me round. I feel numb, born with a weak heart. Guess
Yeah, so Iron and Wine is just one dude.
Yeah. His name is Samuel Irvin Beam.
Did we talk about him before?
It feels like a
He
name
sounds
that
kind
would
of
have come up.
familiar. I don't know why. I don't remember why. They're both kind of like, I didn't say country anything. I read. I don't think, but it said
yeah,
like
I got a lot
indie
of folk,
and like rock. But it's it's got that enough like country.
Yeah,
commonalities.
that
It's kinda like
one- is it a
southern rock
guitar
almost.
that does.
Yeah, this is the one with the slide guitar.
Yeah, as soon as you get that in there, it's country, bro.
Yeah.
Sorry, you made a country
Sorry,
song.
you want to slide that guitar? It's not bluesy enough. It's country. Yeah, kind of. Is that like like a lap steel or something like that? They're like,
Oh, it could be, yeah.
I don't remember. So yeah, there's a few guitars in this one. And it's kind of again almost doing like the bass line, but it's different. Like it's more
Yeah,
like we're picking this guitar. We're not playing a bass line, but it's like that.
Yeah, and it lays down those same like key beats from the bass line, but it's just not the same like progression.
Okay.
Say goodnight.
And speaking
yeah.
of keys, there's like so once you get to the chorus, it starts playing a piano, but like pretty low.
Okay, I must have missed that.
It's easy to miss. It just kind of like it's just boom. Get like 50 seconds in.
Oh, yep, I heard it.
Yeah, but it's pretty low,
Boom,
eh?
boom, boom. Yeah, super low.
And it doesn't play very much. But there is a piano
Mhm.
there. And yeah, really that slide guitar kind of comes in and out. Or whatever it is. I don't want to say lap steel, but it might be.
Could be. Whatever that country ass sounding guitar is, it really does serve to
It's
accent
kind of
the piece.
twangy. And then
Yeah.
there's like an accordion or something.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a melodica? I think it's an accordion.
Oh, is that at the 140? Oh, it's 125 it comes in.
Yeah.
I think it comes in again at 146.
Yeah, I think it
that's
comes-
what
yeah.
it is.
So just playing like a little bit of that. Just a little bit. And then they start
Mhm.
singing again. And then kind of we do the slide guitar instead. Oh, but then there's some more accordion just cuz.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that like sparseness. So it's a similar idea to the original with a lot of things of like there's a lot of stuff happening, but it doesn't happen a lot at any one time. So then like
yeah.
we'll do the normal stuff that we play throughout and we're picking and we're playing the drums. And then there's some accordion. Oh, it's gone. And then there's some of the steel. Oh, there's a lot more of the slidey bits.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's like here it comes in again, here it goes. Like it's that you're right, it's the same principle as the original, but more sparse.
yeah. And this one does not waste any time. It gets right to business and does the song and then it ends.
Yeah, 16-second intro, get to the first line. The lyrics are done by 3 minutes, and they do some outro.
Yeah, it's again not exactly the same as the original, but they're basically doing the same type of thing.
Yeah. This one, I feel like. Do you ever play Red Dead 2?
No, I have not played Red Dead 2.
Okay, well the epilogue in that game is like the beginning of like John Marston's story, right?
Right.
And like half of that epilogue for some reason is like a collection of country music videos, basically disguised as QuickTime events.
Ooh, QuickTime.
And I
events.
feel like this song could have been in the game for when you're like setting up your farmstead with your fucking wife or whatever, and you're just like, damn, I'm trying to do right.
Trying to do right by Jack Marston.
Jack
His
Marston.
son Jack, which probably
Jack!
wasn't born yet.
No, he's born. He's born in that game.
Okay, never mind.
The John Marston spends a lot of that game just being a piece of shit dad.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
Oh wait, have I heard that? I heard he was being a piece of shit. The dad part
Right.
was.
He's both a piece of shit dad, a piece of shit, and a dad.
And all three.
Yep, all of the above. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Iron and Wine, featuring Ben Bridwell, who is also an American singer-songwriter and producer.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that one's also like a lot of these versions are like, yeah, it's pretty decent. They did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, you did your thing with it.
Cool. Way to go.
Ugh.
Who's up next?
Let's talk about Sure in 2018.
Home is where I want to be. Pick me up and turn me around. I feel numb, born with a weak heart.
Sure. So this is a band. They're like kind of an indie band from, I believe, California. They
Los Angeles, California, bro. They've been around since 2014.
Yeah, they like record in their house. They have their phone number on Spotify if you want to give them a call and talk.
Oh yeah, they got it on their website too.
So yeah, we could have asked them to be on. Honestly,
I guess we could have. I just should have thought about that. I gotta get a better setup, and then I could run the phone call through the audio interface and get it to both of us.
right? Oh yeah, interesting.
Like we'll work it out.
So
But yeah, they call themselves experimental pop, and this is their most popular song on Spotify.
So the beginning, their intro bass line, a synth bass line, sounds a little bit more like it was programmed on a sequencer. And it's like pretty low. It's like very low.
Yeah, very low.
It's not
like
exactly
bum,
the same
bum,
as the original, but it's like
bum.
bum 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 bum. So it's more like that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so they're like missing a few things, and then they sort of come in with an acoustic guitar, and there's some drums. kind of
Yeah, it's like
sticky
sticks
drums.
hitting each
Yeah,
other.
lots
Yeah,
of
very
sticks.
sticky drums.
And then they do that like do 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 do. So they play that fluty synth bit too.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, but now there's also a guitar. That is not the same as the guitar from the original. It's more like the
That's
kind of
right.
like we'll pick a bit and do some chords and do some picking, and like it's not clear to me when you choose to do one versus the other, but sometimes you do
Mhm.
one and sometimes you do the other. Like,
Yeah, it's this like ambient acoustic, just kind of like filling in spaces.
and they also they have this organ that comes in too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just around 34 seconds there.
Yeah. They kind of go boom, 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 like build up these chords with this like
Yeah.
wavering organ, kind of almost like rotary, but not really.
Right.
I'm sure it's digital, like,
Yeah.
or
these
like at
guys are
least,
from-
yeah, it's not like an old school rotary organ or anything like that.
No.
Could be, but I would suspect no. And there's a right, they play during the chorus the high synth part like on the guitar,
Oh yeah, it's
and like it sounds pretty good, like the way they have the guitar tone and the way they play it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like the
And it adds a bit of that
change,
kind
yeah.
of funk to it. It's like a well funky guitar, you know?
Yeah, which the original kind of had, but to a degree, like in a Talking Heads way, that's maybe not totally logical,
Yeah. Whereas this one kind of drags it to the forefront.
or
It's
maybe
like,
is
look how funky
totally
this chorus
logical.
is.
You know,
Maybe it is.
like whatever makes it less danceable but still funky, that
Yeah,
makes things
that's-
Talking Heads.
They looked at it when they were producing it and they said, "Yep, this must be the funk. It's
This
the
must
right
be
amount."
the funk. All right, that's gonna be a song. Is it a song?
That's gonna be a song. It's gonna be a song now. They do group singing on the chorus, don't they?
Yep. They sure do.
They sure do.
And the drums that were more like stick hits and stuff are now like straight rock beat.
Yeah.
And then they do the little solo
Mm-hmm.
with the boop, 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 you know, all that.
Yeah.
And then the second verse, very similar, but the bass synth like changes a little bit. It's a little bit longer, like attack. Like it takes a little longer to get the note. Like the notes a little bit more spread out.
Right.
The other one was a little bit more quick.
Right. And then they bring back the organ in again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then eventually we're going to build to like hand clap. No, first we get the guitar that starts coming in. We heard something like this, similar to this on, I believe, the Rush episode,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like that guitar that starts out nice and quiet and then starts getting louder and louder and louder.
Right.
That's around like 2 minutes.
Right. I think you mean the 205,
Yeah.
where they're like diddle 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 diddle. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Then it goes to.
I called it an arpeggiator. I didn't think it was a guitar,
Didn't think that was a guitar.
but I don't know. It's just kind of got this echo. Makes it sound like a different kind of wave, man.
I just feel like the distortion on it is very guitar. I
That
could be
could
wrong
be.
though.
And then it just cuts out,
Yeah.
and then they do another verse.
Do another verse.
God.
Doesn't sound like it says I'm just an animal. It sounds like it says oh just an animal. That's what I got for you.
Oh, Jew.
Oh, just an animal.
Which kind of fits.
Yeah.
Oh, just an animal looking for a home.
Yeah,
Just
it's
a
100% what they say.
for
Oh,
me
just
to
an animal.
The other thing about that guitar in the chorus is like it's very clean. That's part of the funkiness,
Mhm.
I think, which is like
Yeah, very clean. It cuts right through the mix. It draws
Yeah.
honestly more of my attention than the vocals do.
yeah, the vocals are a little less interesting. But again, I
Mhm.
would say overall, I liked this version. This one, like,
Yeah.
this was the first one after the original, before you sorted the playlist. So it was the first
Right.
one I heard after listening to the original this week, and I was like, oh, we're off to a good start. Damn, yeah.
Yeah, they do enough different while not just sucking.
Yeah. So
There you go, sure.
right on. Sure.
Oh, and
Plus,
then
I can
one
relate
dude
to
at
their
the end.
name.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sure.
We all can relate to their name. At the end, a dude is making noises that follow the synth line. He's like da ba 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 da da da.
Oh, I didn't
It's
notice
very
that.
quiet. Yeah. Let me see if I can spot a time on that. Yeah, like if you go to like 325, it'll be in the left earphone. And it'll be very quiet.
Oh shit. It's so quiet. I'm impressed you picked up on that at all.
So you know what? For some reason, I got pretty good hearing sometimes, despite just abusing the shit out of my ears.
Sweet.
Is it possible to have good hearing but also tinnitus?
I think so.
Okay.
Tonight,
That's me then,
do you have
baby.
constant? Do you have like ringing all the time?
It comes and goes. It's a pretty mild one too.
Okay.
I think it happened to me so much earlier in life that I didn't even realize that it wasn't just normal.
Oh damn. I've definitely had like some ringing, but it's usually like I'll do something loud, and I think it can get better in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
So like you'll go, you get ringing after a concert because you forgot your earplugs or whatever, and like a month later you're fine.
Yeah, there's definitely times when it's worse than others for me. So it's just like there's only very specific times I notice it. But yeah, that's my
anyway,
ears, baby.
Sorry, I'm getting off topic. We're trying to cook
Echosmith,
through
2019.
Home is where I wanna be. Pick me up and turn me round. I feel numb, born with a weak heart. I guess I must be having fun.
this. So this is a family band,
Yeah, 3 siblings from SoCal.
and they do this version. They say they do dreamy indie pop.
Yeah, that is what they say.
Do.
And this is one of the first, and one of the only ones I think to actually do like a bass guitar for the bass line.
It sounds a lot different from the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes in.
Played on a bass guitar.
I mean, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, the whole thing's played on bass. No, yeah, you're right. It's very different.
They kind of
there's
just
this,
come
like,
in with chords, like
Yeah.
and they just like start
this-
singing right away.
and this sort of like bubbling synth in the bottom. It's like boop, boop.
That's true. It's kind of like clicky almost,
Yeah.
but bubbling sounds better.
Yeah,
Like
it's like
plotting,
You
it's
can imagine yeah, and just like little bubbles like coming to the surface and popping. Like that would
Yeah.
be the kind of noise.
Yeah. And all of them. There's I think 3 of them. There's at least a
Mhm.
male and a female voice in this.
Yeah, so she's like the front person for the band. I guess the front woman. You could just say 'cause she's a woman.
Frontist.
And the frontist. So she primarily does the singing, I imagine. But yeah, they got one of the brothers laying down some backing vocals as well.
And so they start singing,
Mhm.
and then there's a kick drum that comes in.
Yeah.
And then like the bass at this part is just playing like kind of like held notes. And the guitar's
Yeah.
kind of doing some like picked stuff. And then once they get to the chorus, it's like there's just distorted guitar that comes in. It's just like strums,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, right. Because we get the
a
kick
lot,
drums
yeah.
in. The bass actually mirrors the synth chords that have been going on. It's doon, doon, doon.
Right. But
Yeah, and then we get a lot of this is just chord work, really. 'Cause
yes.
Once we get to the chorus, it's big strumming chords on a distorted guitar, while another one's doing arpeggios in the back there.
Mm-hmm. Which was happening before, I believe.
Yes.
But it's kind of odd because like they talk about being like dreamy, and it definitely starts that way. But then as soon as they hit the chorus, it's a lot less dreamy to me. Like
yeah,
with that
it's-
distorted guitar, like which is I don't know.
Yeah,
I
and
guess
then once they
yeah.
hit the end of the chorus, like it gets rowdy on the percussion and on the bass.
Yeah, the bass changes a lot. Then like
Yeah, it's doing like Yeah, which again, like inspired by the original bass line while not being it.
yeah. So this one, there's a lot of things happen. It's a lot more like I guess it's got that like chaos. I don't know. This one feels very
Mhm.
like this one's like teetering on the brink. It's a very different feeling from
Mhm.
the original.
Yeah, and we get some kind of sticky drums going on too, similar to the Sure version.
Sure.
And yeah, it's very much rooted in, I would say, modern pop. Like the moves to the chorus feel very like this is a modern pop song. We punch it like this.
Yeah, this is what we do with the synthesizer or whatever. Change the drums in this way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's I guess a more modern take, but it's probably the most different version on here
Yeah.
in terms of like mood, because it feels a lot more hectic. It doesn't really have that same cozy feeling as the
No.
original and a lot of the covers managed to recreate.
Yeah, it's more like a jerking from a sort of comfy state at the beginning where it's like
Yeah.
dun, 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 to this very active, very like you said, chaotic. And you're like, oh God, Jesus, love, what is it?
Love.
Ah.
So it's wild. It's a wild
Yeah,
version.
it's
I don't totally know how I feel about it yet. I'm having trouble
Yeah.
formulating an opinion. There's a lot different.
And that's, I think, for you and I having done this project for as
Yeah.
long as we have, different is exciting.
Yes.
And that releases endorphins. And I'm like, yes, different. But then at the same time, I'm like, but is it good?
But yeah, I'm trying not to be too much of like a neophile, but at the same time, sometimes you listen to a whole bunch of really samey covers, but we didn't have a bunch of really samey covers this week.
Mhm.
So usually it's like breath of fresh air. This one's actually different, but this one is very different. But a lot of them have like differences, like we discussed. That's what
Yeah.
this show is for, man.
It's
Pay
based on
attention
that,
to
man.
the show. And but yeah, it's just the feeling. The feeling is very different.
Yeah, I would say maybe to crystallize my opinion on it,
Mm-hmm.
it does things differently, and I think it is of a higher effort and higher quality than a lot of covers we see, a lot of modern covers we see, where it's just some dickhead playing acoustic guitar and being like, "No, this is the song," or Imaginary Future, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Imaginary future.
Yeah. So it's better than that. So I would say it is. I think they did a good job at achieving what they want to do, but it is not for me. Would be my final verdict on this.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I can respect it. It's not for me.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of acoustic covers.
Speaking of lazy pricks, it's Kelaska in 2019.
Home is where I want to be. Pick me up and turn me around. I feel numb, born with a weak heart. Guess I'm
It's Kelaska. We talked about Kelaska for Bitch Better Have My Money. Don't remember what
That's
we said
what
about
it
it.
was.
I know, I could not figure it out. She's the one who says, turn up to Kelaska and the whole club fucking wasted.
Did.
That's her version. Yeah, I was like looking through her songs. I was like,
Okay.
is it like she's done several songs we've talked about. But it took me a while, but I found it.
Yeah.
and
I
so-
thought it was better now, and I looked and I was like, nope, okay.
Nope, not there. Yeah, I definitely checked that. She might even have a cover of it.
Probably. She releases, or at least used to release, a cover song every week on YouTube. I've checked her YouTube channel. She still posts fairly regularly. It's been like once every 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, for Bitch Better Have My Money, I give her a hard time for spending half the video just like talking about her Patreon or whatever.
Oh, right.
She doesn't do that in this video, but in this video, it is listed as brackets Kelaska violin cover.
Ah.
So I think it's her still playing the violin. So she does add a violin. Well, let's talk about the song, and I'll bring up the violin when it comes up. It's gonna come back. So to introduce the song, as we mentioned, it is a person on YouTube sitting. She's sitting on a bed. She's playing an acoustic guitar and singing this song. She released this very recently, actually, on the 19th of December, which was a Friday, I believe.
Yeah, it was actually, that came up in my,
Nah, it's a Thursday. Fuck.
It's Thursday. It's when she put it on Spotify. Spotify listed with a 2020 date, but it came
Ah.
up in my like new releases for you, and I was like, oh shit, I guess people have covered that, and then like put a list together.
Oh, so this is the reason you thought of the song.
Yeah, this is the reason for the season.
Oh. But she was not feeling the Christmas spirit. She instead covered "This Must Be the Place" by Talking Heads. And yeah, I mean, it's that. It's she's playing chords and singing. Like,
Yeah, and there is like violin in this, so
Yes.
she's got that going on.
the violin comes in and does the synth solo and does. So I will
Mhm.
say this. It's interesting to hear the violin play that, and it actually does a pretty good job of doing the like smoothness of the pitch bends.
Yeah.
But it just kind of comes in and then leaves.
Mm-hmm.
It comes in like one time and then it's gone. And this is billed as a violin cover, but it's barely in the song at all. And I feel like if there, like, she could have done a lot more with, been more like Kishi Bashi,
Mm-hmm.
but like, and like layered, like if she's gonna do violin tracks anyway, she could do more layered violin tracks for more of the parts or whatever or something. But I just feel like there's more there that could have been done, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of like bare bones of like, I mean, I'm sure she's just like singing practice or whatever because she sings pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
She's good at singing. And I don't know how she's playing guitar. She does it perfectly fine. But what I'm trying to say is I feel like from a production standpoint, it was kind of bare bones.
Yeah, and I would say like the original is a fairly bare bones song, and it's like key elements.
Sure,
We-
but
like we
there's
talked about, it
definitely a
does a
lot
lot
of
of
production
layering.
there.
Yeah, and like furthermore, what we've seen with like almost every other cover version has somehow grabbed the spirit of the instrumentation, like in something where like the bass line, they understand the key beats of it and they have translated it into their own song. Where
Right,
you
yeah.
hear
There's
it
like
and
5 variations of the bass line in this that are slightly different, and they all sound pretty
Mhm.
good.
And so like yeah, it's the other artists managed to somehow translate the music in a way that I don't think we often see, where it's not the same thing, but it still like registers as the same thing.
Right.
And that's just with Kelaska, it doesn't register. I will agree that the violin part was awesome, but it could be in there more, you know.
Yeah,
It's
it
it's in
feels
there
like it.
more in
Yeah.
Shawn Colvin's version. It's in there more in Kishibashi's version.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I assume it's just like a side effect of, like you said, if she's doing these weekly or close to it, if there's not enough time to put that much work into any individual video, and I'm sure that is related to like YouTube algorithms or something. So,
Mm-hmm.
in conclusion, it's all YouTube's fault. Fuck them.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, maybe she just wanted to fucking nail that violin part, and she did. So
Yeah.
right
So,
on.
there you go. I'm not-
With that, Alex, we're gonna jump into the final verdict, which there will be 3 categories today: the worst version, the best version, and the most love song version.
the most love song version. All right.
You-
Is that going to be
you heard it
every
here.
week this month? Because it's all
Yeah, because it's love
it's
or
all
me
love
this
songs on Love or Me.
month. Alex, worst version of this. Why?
Which is the okay? So there's a lot of versions of this, and I thought they did a pretty good job. And this is gonna be kind of lame because I'm gonna totally, what's the word? I was gonna say softball, but that doesn't sound right.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna have to give it to Kelaska, not because I hated it or anything, but just because it was lesser than the other versions, which I thought were pretty solid all around.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with that.
It's just kind of like a slightly lesser version of the Shawn Colvin. Not even, well, I won't tell you how much lesser it is, but it's a lesser version of the Shawn Colvin version, which obviously had a lot more resources.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a similar idea with lesser execution. And the guitar playing
Yeah.
isn't as interesting.
Yeah, it's just it fails to meet the expectations set out by every other cover version here,
Yeah,
which
which
brings
is
a lot more to the table.
pretty high, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry,
Yep.
Kelaska, it's a bad batch for you.
It's a bad batch for you, but you know what? Someday you'll win.
Yeah,
Keep
although
trying.
she definitely has a similar setup to Imaginary Future if you look at her Spotify, where it's like a lot of covers with very, very similar like artwork for the singles.
Yeah, where
They're all
it's
flowers.
some kind of flowers or grass on there.
So, I mean, for that, like, obviously I've made my position on that known, so I won't restate it here because I want people to listen to our What a Wonderful World episode.
That's right.
So check that out. That pretty much applies
Kiddos.
here. Pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah, what's the best version, Alex?
Oh, jeez, what was the best version? Like I said, I liked a lot of these, but I think the one
Mhm.
I liked the most, and maybe it's just because I heard it first, was Sure Sure. I really liked their version, especially that clean high guitar in the chorus.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt like you were going for that one. I think I'll roll with. I gotta go with Shawn Colvin. I think she did a great job of doing a soft, tender version of this with some nice moments made by adding in woodwinds, a little string here and there. It kept it interesting and it kept it, tender and naive in a
Yeah,
sense. And I
and
think
it-
that's
As we said,
That's
it
the
managed to
ticket.
have like a light orchestra or whatever
Mhm.
without feeling like huge. It still
Yeah,
felt
to really
very
be able to
intimate.
tone down what are such massive and like strong instruments. Because looking at like the Kishi Bashi version, like all those instruments can go fucking hard, and it's not difficult for them to do that. But to then take them and make these just little tiny adjustments to an acoustic track, just be like, there's a little bit of string here. Here's a little bit of flute. Like that's pretty fucking good. So that's the best, in fact. Alex, what's the most love song version?
What's the most love song version? Actually, I'm gonna give it to Shawn Colvin for all the reasons you just listed. So if you want to hear my reasons, just rewind it a bit and listen to
Yeah, and just pretend it's Alex's voice.
listen to Jake say it for me. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I might have to agree with that. 'Cause, yeah, for all the reasons I just said, it is like, and earlier today I read somebody's comment on Song Facts where he's like, "Oh, if you want to know why it's a love song, listen to the Shawn Colvin version." I was like, "Fuck you! Like the original is a love song. Just use your fucking ears." But then also listening to this, I'm like, "Yeah, I get it."
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the original is not identifiable as a love song relative to the Shawn
Mhm.
Colvin version, but she does a good job of making it
Yeah,
like that.
She puts a little tenderness in there,
Yeah.
So that's been our final verdict. If you got comments, questions, concerns, you want to talk about a version we didn't talk about, you want to share your opinion on the versions we did talk about, hit us up on Twitter, #CoverMePod, @JakeTheCressy, @SomeAlexWiseGuy. You can also email us at covermepod@gmail.com. Be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Google Podcasts. Favorite podcasting app? We're there, bro. Follow us on it. Let's see, your favorite podcasting app is a complete piece of shit, in which case, get a new podcasting app, you dummy. Now it's time for a bonus segment called Oops, We Forgot to Talk About This. Alex, we forgot to talk about the music video for this song.
Oh shit, we totally did. This
And I think it's actually quite sweet, despite its simplicity, this music video.
yeah,
So I'm not
it's-
referring to the Stop Making Sense performance, but the actual music video.
Right, yeah, and we didn't talk about Stop Making Sense at all, but we're running out of time, so all right, music video. Yeah, no, I agree. It's just like several couples hanging out like in a house and like watching videos. And I think
Yeah, so they...
yeah.
Keep going.
Sorry. No, I thought he was spinning yarn, but it's actually just a video projector.
Yeah, it's so they set up this video projector and they have this, and it's all of the band and the session musicians there,
Yeah.
and they watch these home videos, which are, I believe, genuine home videos, and
They
then
definitely have the look of genuine home video.
which like hits on that like cozy nostalgia of the song like perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And then they stop watching the videos because they run out and they go to the basement and just it's just one fixed camera shot of them just performing the song basically in a basement. And then at the end, David Byrne's mom comes down, his actual mother, with tea, and it's just all very sweet.
Yeah, it is. I want to shout out the scene from the home video where one dude is like in camo and he just like has it must be a BB gun, and he just like twirls it around a bit, and like aims it
Yeah.
at the camera. And yeah, and then they
Which is-
just
yeah.
like all go downstairs and like there's a mic set up and they just start singing and playing the song.
Mm-hmm. And the whole the whole video from start to finish kind of speaks of this wholesome love, not only like romantically, but like just between these people where they all just get together and sort of share at each other's past with these home videos. And then
Yeah.
like, well, we're just gonna go sing a song together now. And oh, my mom brought tea. Like
Yeah.
right on.
And you get to see David Byrne dance, which is always fun.
Oh yeah, as soon as like gets down the stairs, he starts working his head already, and you're
Yeah,
like,
he's
oh
like moving
shit.
his head and like his shoulders, and like it's totally. If you look at his eyes compared to what he is doing, they're completely disconnected.
Yeah.
And like he sometimes his like head's not moving, but his body. Anyway, it's odd, but it's great.
It is great. Quick note: the "Stop Making Sense" performance. He sings and dances with a lamp, right?
Yes.
Yes.
He did classically
and also,
say like, oh, sorry, you're gonna say what he said?
no, go ahead. You
He has like
you-
a
no, you-
quote where he says something like it's the only love song I ever wrote, and I sang it to a fucking lamp or something like that.
That is perfect, David Byrne. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because we talked about it a bit. The "Stop Making Sense" version is a little dancier.
Yeah, it
Than
is.
the original.
There's like it's live, so I think some of the like production flourishes and stuff with the other instruments are not there because they just didn't have as much, they weren't layering in all these tracks.
Mhm.
But it is the version I know the best. And
Yeah, it's
it feels a little bit like the synths feels a little fuller, but it's a really good live version, I think. I'm a big fan of that
Mhm.
whole album.
yeah. The whole album is phenomenal. So y'all check it out.
Yeah.
Stop Making Sense.
And I can't believe I've never actually watched the DVD.
Yeah, me neither. Well, that was our bonus segment. Oops, we forgot to talk about this. Be sure to join us next time when we talk about another love song. And as we always say on Cover Me,
I'm sorry, I believe
Uh,
this is Lover Me.
yes, as we always say on Lover Me, I come home and put on a podcast. I guess this must be Lover Me.